Good morning, everyone. It is 8 a.m., Monday, June 15th, 2026. Thank you all for being here. We'll start with item number 1. Director Austin, if you'd be so kind to take roll call, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Shaft.
Here.
Kuzier.
Here.
Vogel. Here. Harrison.
Here.
Knapp.
Here.
Court.
Here.
Ross.
Here.
Braun. Absent. Coe.
Here.
Moving on to item number 2, approval of agenda.
Move approval of the agenda.
I'll second.
A motion to approve the agenda was made by Harrison. It was supported by Coe. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Passed. Item number 3, approval of minutes of the May 18th, 2026 regular meeting.
Second.
A motion to approve the minutes of the May 18th, 2026 regular meeting was made by Vogel. It was supported by Frost. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Passed. Item number 4, we'd like to open the floor to any public comment. Seeing there's no public comment, we'll move on to item number 5, unfinished business. There is none. Item number 6, new business. 6A, review and consider resolution of support for a redevelopment liquor license for Terra GR Inc. at 590 Ada Drive. And I'd like to invite Ken Sung and Director Kevin Austin to the mic.
This is quite formal here, so good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
So I'm Ken Song. I'm I am the owner of Terra GR. If you're not familiar with Terra GR, I'll give you a little history here. We opened in 2012 as what was considered then popular farm-to-table restaurant, and I kind of now call it more of a scratch kitchen because we do everything in-house. Everything we make down to our sauces and anything that we do is made by our staff internally. So in 2020, we've been very successful as a full-service restaurant since then. And in 2020, in the middle of the pandemic, my chef and I decided to do something kind of different, and we opened Terra Bagels, which has been kind of with the same philosophy that we have with Terra GR, which we boil and bake our own bagels. Everything is done in-house. We've opened in downtown or in East Town in 2020, and then in 2022 we ended up adding a location in downtown Grand Rapids, and now we're hoping to do a different combination by adding both of our establishments into one location here over at 590 Ada Drive. So 590 Ada Drive it's been kind of a fun project. We've been working with Steve and Elizabeth Vanderveen, who've owned the building for over 60 years, and his parents his dad owned the building, and then his dad has since passed, and he's kind of inherited it with the intention that with our opening on Ada Drive, that they would continue the tradition of continuing to own the building and make the improvements that were probably necessary from a long time ago. So the building improvements, it's kind of vast. I don't know if you've ever been in the building, but the building had a floor that was kind of angled, and there was no HVAC system in the building. So we've worked with Steve and Elizabeth and are basically redoing the building from bottom all the way up. We've gotten to the point where they've taken the floor out, we're putting new footings in, we're putting an HVAC system in the building, which is well long due needed. We just found out that we're having to update the sewer system, so that's going to be taken care of along with the development of, or the addition of, an ADA bathroom, and then making sure that the doors are accommodating for ADA as well. So kind of bringing the building that was built in 1900 up to 21st century contemporary standards. So our plan would be to operate our business as Terra Bagels from 7 a.m. till 2 p.m. and then switch over at 4 to Terra GR. Terra GR being a little different experience than what we offer in Terra GR because we're not going to be a full-service restaurant. We're looking at more of a cafe to-go style basis. So it's going to feel a little different, and we're working on trying to establish a different experience for the people in the Ada area. So, and what we're hoping to do is utilize a Class C license, not as a full bar, but just offering an opportunity for our guests to purchase beer and wine, mostly to go, but then if they wanted to dine in our limited seating arrangement, which is about 26 seats, they'd have the opportunity to do so. And then also take advantage of the social distancing opportunities that are available in Ada. So that's kind of our plan here, and I'm hoping I can answer any questions that anybody might have.
Are you looking at the exterior too?
Yeah, they're doing some exterior work. So there was a kind of a bump out window in what they call the arcade, which I'm not sure why it's called the arcade. There's no pinball machines in there or anything like that. But that was been taken out, and we're looking at some bench seating, and they also are repainting the building. And then some of the areas where the building's a little bit, it's just deteriorated, they're going to replace the bottom part, certain parts of the face of the building as well. So it is getting a facial update. The colors are going to be pretty similar to what they had before, but it is getting the building will be fully repainted as well. And that might take a little longer than our anticipated opening was going to be August. So, but being the way things are going, I'm thinking more September, to be honest with you, but we'll see how it goes.
That's exciting.
Yeah, we're
I'm
really
happy
excited
for
about.
you.
Yeah, thank you. We've been trying to be a little bit low key with this until we had a more firm plan in terms of an opening date. But it seems like people have been finding out, and they're pretty excited about us joining the community here. So we're excited about also being close to Love's Ice Cream, and with Samantha over at Artisan Fox. So the three of us have actually met quite a bit and try to figure out like how to beautify that corner, but then also make it more inviting for people to come down to this part of Ada as well. So I think we feel like we've got a good plan in place. So
That's wonderful.
yeah. Any questions I can answer?
Forgive me for not, I just want to make sure I'm looking at the right building. Is that this building here?
I can't see what.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the upstairs of this building? Is it still an apartment?
So yes, there are. They're going to have to be updating. It's not the building on the rear is an apartment. The building in the front is a room right now. So they're going to looking at doing some potential improvements to make it more of a full apartment. It's probably more set up right now as an office because there isn't a full working restroom. One of the things that I know they're working on, again, this is kind of on them, is we are adding 2 hoods through the roof, and then they're going to look at potentially building restrooms and so forth upstairs, or a bathroom upstairs, so they can make it a full usable apartment.
But the intent is to have it be residential?
Yes.
Their goal currently is?
Yeah. Now again, that's kind of more them than me, because
I understand. I understand that, but since I haven't had a chance to talk to them, and since they're doing substantial investment to a historic building in the oldest part of town, I mean, it's wonderful news. Everything you're saying, I think, is great. So, I just was curious.
I've not delved too deeply into what their intentions are up there, and they've been very focused on getting our side of the building kind of up and running here too. So
That was the coffee shop for quite a while, and then it's been closed for, what, 6 months, 9 months, a year or something?
I think they closed in September. Yes. Yeah.
There's roughly 2 units of residential up there, correct?
Correct. Above our building, there's a residential building above Artisan Fox as well. So there's 3 different.
And so then the only reason you're using this approach for your license is because all of our other licenses are consumed?
Correct. Yes.
Can you elaborate on your efforts?
Yeah. So we've made the effort. I mean, I've done the effort with I'm in the process of doing the effort with the state. Still getting a lot of letters back in approaching escrow liquor licenses in Kent County. It's been an interesting process. I spoke to the Michigan Liquor Commission, and what we have to do is send a certified letter to all these addresses that have escrowed liquor licenses. So we're 2 weeks in and have about half responded. Some of them are addresses that even when I was at the post office, well, this address doesn't really exist. I'm not sure how they applied getting a liquor license without a valid address, but anyways, those are starting to come back. So once I get that part of the research completed, I can submit that to the state and then move forward, hopefully with the approval of the Downtown Development Authority.
So essentially, will all of the owners of, as an example, I'm particularly interested, will the owner of the Schnitz be made aware of this through that process you just described?
No, because we have to approach all the businesses that have liquor licenses that are in escrow, meaning they're not active. So,
I see.
So again, this is a process in terms of
This is not the active license, these are just ones that are on the list that they're waiting for a license?
no that have closed and have an existing license that isn't being used.
Oh, okay.
So
And how many are there,
there's 46. Yeah.
46 in Ada Township?
No, in Kent County.
Oh, like all over the
I have to pet Kent County, and it's really fun, kind of weird because there's some businesses that are listed as blank blank of Florida, and I'm having to send it to an address in Kent County, which I don't think it's ever going to make it to Florida because the post office is just going to return it. So it's a task more than a process or a part of the process.
Pursue
Approval.
existing, when you exhaust that, you can come after the redevelopment, and that's what we're
Yeah,
looking at.
yeah.
And the redevelopment is one that DDA issues, and if you leave town, it stays here.
Correct.
It doesn't go onto that list.
Yes.
So I'm
Right.
supportive.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm not looking to move it anything like that. We're looking to stay in Ada for a long time. We've signed we made a pretty long-term commitment to Steve and Elizabeth because they were making a long-term commitment to us. So we feel like we're going to be here for a while. So, and given our history, I think we've proven that our product
If
is
you
something
don't,
people
this
like.
license stays in the control of the DDA.
Yeah.
So this is a new location for you? Do you have another location already?
We have a location. Our main restaurant is on Lake Drive in Easttown, and then we have 2 bagel shops, one in Easttown on Lake Drive and the other one in downtown Grand
Okay,
Rapids.
so those are all up and running and have been for quite a while?
Yeah. Since the restaurant since 2012, and then the original bagel shop since 2020. So we're 6 years in.
Yeah, you're great. Love your both locations. Big fan. It might be helpful. I think part of this is just the understanding like how this process works for these, because I think love the concept, love that stays in Ada, love for that. It's just it looks like there's one left here, and I think there's a renewal where like next year we'll get one. We don't. Probably all thinking we don't want to get in a spot where, great, we give it, and then next meeting, someone comes in and we're like, oh shoot, we just gave that one, and we're picking and choosing. So understanding that a little bit, probably Kevin, unless there's other questions, would be helpful, I think, for context.
Ken, then I can present my materials to elaborate on that.
Okay.
Yeah, please.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ken.
Thank you, Ken.
All right, thank you, Ken. All right, so guys, my memo is provided there for you. I'm going to roll through some of the highlights. It's got kind of a lot of information there, but relevant to the situation or the questions that some of you guys were asking. This application requires local government approval as part of the MLCC before Ken forwards this to them. So you're aware, we are not the legislative body. The Township Board is the legislative body, so we would be issuing a resolution of support for this applicant, similar to Vino Vibrations, which was the LARC, which was the last one you guys did in June of 24, and several before that. So under the Township's review process for this, for redevelopment liquor license applications, the DDA Board first considers whether to adopt this resolution of support. The Township Board is the local legislative body, I just said this. Form a resolution required by the MLCC. The applicable law is listed there, and basically issue certain on-premise liquor licenses within a qualified redevelopment area outside of the normal quota limitations. So quota limitations tied directly to our population. which I believe are quota licenses. I think it's listed in some of the materials Ken provided actually is like 12 quota licenses. And then as we've developed, we are afforded more redevelopment liquor licenses based off of the way the downtown, kind of starts to develop and everything. So looking at the license eligibility and available license capacity section that you guys see there, the statute authorizes one redevelopment area license for each $1 million of qualifying investment occurring within the redevelopment area during the preceding 3-year period for every 1,000 residents in the local government unit. So the township assessor has provided an affidavit, which I believe I scanned and provided to you guys, certifying that qualifying investment within the township's redevelopment area totaled $24,293,014 during the preceding 3-year period. And the last time you guys approved a redevelopment liquor license, they used that preceding 3-year period, which at that point was about $45 million of investment. So obviously that was during 3 years ago. That was during a time where there's a lot more buildings going up and things like that. So slowing down a bit, as we're aware with the land area and everything, but still $24 million, 24.2. So using the most recent U.S. Census population, 14,388 residents, you guys can see the amount there, population units per 1,000 residents, and that calculation brings it out to about 1.69. So based on the statutory formula, Ada Township currently qualifies a redevelopment area liquor license, I'll slow down. The township's eligibility for one license is supported by the level of qualifying investment, but final determination of this regarding the issuance of any license does remain subject to the review and approval of MLCC. So this is what we've calculated with the township assessor, also with this calculation. Like Jeremy was saying, we do have 1.69 now. I can check with MLCC to see it's a larger fraction thereof, so that might be 2. But based off of that, we wouldn't have additional ones until there was, additional investment over the course of a 3-year period. So Ken elaborated on the proposed business operations. You guys can see there for kind of the split between his Terra Bagels operation and Terra GR. And then under requesting license, so he is also requesting an SDM license, which is a special designated merchant, which the LARC actually is as well, which allows them to sell unopened bottles to take home. And so the proposed dining area consists of 26 patrons. You have to have 25 according to the legislation for redevelopment liquor license. And he elaborated a bit on the building rehabilitation and investment, but they did provide a breakdown. Steve and Elizabeth, who are Covered Bridge Properties LLC, they provided a breakdown of the estimated building improvements, which total roughly $131,000. They're working on floor replacement right now and a lot of the other items that they provided, but there is a breakdown in the information or line item that you guys have there. There's some information there that Ken was talking about with refrigeration, some of the other items that they are specifically bringing in versus some of the items that are just for the building, just in general. So I do have an action requested of you guys to review this material and consider whether or not we would like to forward a resolution of support to the Township Board, which this would then go to, who would then be ultimately their authority to issue a resolution approving a liquor license, which Ken would take with him. After reviewing the materials and looking at some of the MLCC requirements, I did recommend this for approval from you guys, or a resolution of support. The draft resolution is at the end of these materials, and just one note, if you guys did move forward with the motion that's written there just needs to be Terra GR instead of Vino Vibrations. That was based off the old one, so just a slight edit there. So.
Hey, Kevin, maybe I'm being dull on this, but is this an annual calculation then? So each year you calculate it, this rolling through your average, and then you get a refresh? Because I'm thinking about this, and if it's 24 million, let's say just for easy math, it's 24 this year, and then we look next year and it happens to be 24, and it's going to be the same number. But if there's one issue this year, do you get then next year? They calculate it and you get one next year too? Is that how it works?
So as far as I know, that 3-year period will include the next year, the second that we're about to do another calculation, or somebody would apply for a redevelopment liquor license. So basically, Ken asked if we had any. I had to verify with the township assessor, and she said, well, in 2024, we did that preceding 3-year. There's been a lot. I can almost guarantee you that we have one. So we would go through that process. We'd only do it again if somebody applied. And so it would include that next year. And based off of what that total would be, if it does include those, I believe it would probably include those 2 other years that were already used in this calculation, because it just slides that 3-year window. But I would have to clarify. I can't speak completely intelligently on it from MCC.
Yeah, I just think this is, it's kind of a confusing calculation. I remember in '24 when we did it seemed like we had a lot. We had 45 million of investment, so we had like 3.
I think, yeah, it was a 2 or 3.
And so we had extra. Now it seems like we don't have an extra one fully in support of all this. I just think, you know, as we're going to get these requests, and we don't know, I love the development, and I hope that another person comes in and asks for one, because we've got another great concept, right? Understanding, and I know we're showing support, so that's not the governing body, but it's just helpful to kind of understand how that that works from our perspective. So we're
That's something I can
because
definitely.
we want to support all businesses in the DDA, and if there's someone else that wants to come in 2 months from now and is filling another, you know, making a great use of a spot, I want to make sure we're not.
Is the Holland Homes location on Fulton part of the DDA?
It is, partially, yeah.
I mean, the numbers gonna
Holland
grow
Homes,
pretty
your
big.
project,
Yeah.
the new Township Hall, if that rolling average, we're gonna have a few years in front of us where we're
Yeah.
gonna have
That's a good point.
more opportunity.
No, I can double check, or just get some additional information from MLCC on how that's
But
calculated.
again,
If it
I
was,
support us moving forward. I just my mind's thinking about
Mhm.
you know, the future, and I want to keep that door open and opportunities for more establishments like Terra to
Quick.
come in data.
Chat search, for what it's worth, says it's a 200,000 tranche is what triggers the availability of each license. It's only 200,000 in the preceding 3 years. So you would think we would easily hit that almost with the money that's being put into this establishment.
but like we said before, the issuance ultimately is up to MLCC. So we would, based off of what we see, it's not technically our criteria. You know, the township board has their criteria, which it does align with when it goes to them for a liquor license. But MLC, ultimately, these could go to MLCC. They could find something as application and say no. But you know, they, according to what has been presented to us and what the information available to us, then you know, I have not seen anything that's worth you know, not showing support.
Do you know, Kevin, or maybe Julius, Julius is here, I think, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
He might have an opinion on this. Are we supposed to independently consider the license in the context of itself in relation to other licenses in the town? Or are we supposed to look at it more broadly, that another restaurant that serves alcohol at the same time as the other restaurants on the same street serving alcohol, when we have parking issues and load demand, is that allowed to interfere in our thinking?
When I read, and Julius can jump in if you'd like to, when I read the township ordinance on approving a liquor license, there's some language there that does seem kind of discretionary for what you guys could apply to it. Obviously, that's I think slightly in your jurisdiction for whether you want to develop less certain criteria for potential business owners to have to go through versus letting them them being aware of the process that you have to, whether it's an easy process in Ada Township or it's more difficult based off of not specific criteria. But the language looked like it wasn't, you had some stuff, and we'll probably elaborate on it when it goes to you guys, if it goes to you guys. But it did look like there was some discretionary language there. But
real quick,
Yep.
in the motion, what's Vino Vibrations LLC?
yep, that's the one I asked to you guys just to amend. If you did make the motion,
Okay.
just to write Terra GR Inc. Whoever would, if you guys would like to make that motion. That was the Lark, so that was the last
Okay.
application.
That's what I thought.
Yep.
Okay.
Again, just to draw a distinction, the township gets what's called quota licenses based on population growth. And that's probably what the ordinance and the criteria of the ordinance were technically created to apply to. Where do you, because those travel with the owner. Once they're awarded, they own that, and they can take it from location to location. These are location-specific and are technically an asset of the owner. It's something that they're awarded and are able to utilize, but if they leave, or even frankly, I believe, change location, it's location-specific and dependent, and so once if they're like, we're doing so great, we're just moving across the street, they would have to come back to us to even transfer that to a new location. So I understand what Tom's saying about, okay, we're setting up more intensive potential use in the area, and should that be looked at, but just as far as the license itself goes, I think it's slightly different than the general licenses that the township recommends to the MLCC to be awarded. So.
Yeah, to clarify also with what Brian said, like for instance, Traverse City, based off of population, has very few quota licenses to their population, but so many people have brought them in licenses that they were awarded into Traverse City. They obviously have more liquor licenses than what their population would award them from MLCC, but that's just the difference between more vibrant areas that are developing and whether it's tourism based and or a strong sector, tourism sector, things like that. Okay.
One other remark I'll just make is that I voted conflicted on other boards that I'm now on, where I would support something at the board level, but then after it's deliberated ultimately at the township board, I've changed my vote for the reasons that have more information and the like. And so today I'm fully supportive of this, but I want to keep an open mind as we get it to the board level, that something else might come to light that might influence me. So just telling you up front. Okay.
Okay. If you guys don't have any other questions of me, there is a recommended motion there with that edit for Terra GR Inc. at the bottom.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution of the DDA 061526 to support the redevelopment liquor license for Terra GR Inc.
Support.
A motion to approve resolution DDA 061526-1 to support the redevelopment liquor license application for Terra GR Inc. was made by Vogel. It was supported by Harrison. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Passed. Moving on to reports and communications, item number 7A, revenue and expenditure report as of 5/31/26.
Okay, thank you guys. So there is the revenue expenditure report that you guys are included in every packet. We're into June now, so you'll see some of that budget used area start to increase, especially with some of the landscaping items and different items, especially with Beers at the Bridge and other things. So you can see kind of that percentage on the right side of that kind of starting to go up as we're reaching kind of midpoint of the year. But other than that, I don't have any specific things to call out there.
Item number 7B, DDA Director Report.
Okay, I'm gonna give you guys kind of the rundown of the last month. Please ask questions about any of this stuff. Admittedly, I did part of this report in the same week I was doing Beers at the Bridge, which is last week. So I might have missed a few things. So anything that comes to mind, please bring it up, especially in these sections. But to start with Beers at the Bridge, that was Friday. It went really well. There was a couple of hiccups with some point of sale systems and a generator that we had tested beforehand that weren't cooperating with us at the time we started selling tickets, but that was about 15 minutes where we had a credit card down, and then we got it back up, and people were able to still file through. Gina has given me kind of preliminary numbers on revenue, beer and wine revenue, which seems very high, which is great. And then the attendance count via our security, because we don't get the Placer AI data back for roughly 4 or 5 days afterwards, has us going above 3,000 again, which has kind of been the standard for the past, I believe, 3 Beers at the Bridge events. So fantastic weather. I think the tornado, so to speak, kind of lifted the top off the greenhouse for us, and it was just really, really great weather. Not too hot, a little breezy. The tents were moving a little bit, but we had kind of the typical turnout of a lot of people kind of on the street there outside the drink or outside the beer tent. The big bubble party was active the entire time with kids. The guy who ran it came up and thanked us profusely for having them involved. He said the kids were all over the place in there, so that was great. Mellophobics put on a great show. There's a lot of people down there that was listening or that were enjoying that. They're a local band, so that was good to kind of support them there. I'm still just looking for feedback from everybody on kind of the course of the day. It's obviously still really early, so just trying to get as much back as possible. Sophie, my intern, did fantastic. I kind of tasked her with coordinating and assigning the volunteers. We made it to operational again for volunteers. We did have some pourers that stayed on for a second shift. Which they were very gracious. They were just beer pourers they wanted to do the first one, and I asked them if they didn't mind. So August 14, we're hoping to make sure we don't have to have people staying on longer, because we want to make sure that people are rewarded for their time that they're giving to us, and they have a good time, so we can have them back and we can have that volunteer base. But had a nice new shirt for everybody. A lot of good feedback on the shirt. It's kind of a red, white, and blue take with kind of a faded sand color with America 250 on it, and so a lot of good feedback on that one, and good promo sponsors. My family was able to make it out for the first time. If you guys remember, I had a 1-week-old last year this time, so she was out there enjoying it, and my daughter got double scraped knees, so maybe didn't enjoy it completely, but staff was amazing. Call out Parks, BFG, the park looked amazing, fresh mulch, fresh edging, mosquito treatment 2 days before. The seasonals for Parks, they were fantastic. Ben, from Stephanie's son, and Bella and Brady, we call them Killer Bees. They did a great job running around, taking care of everything. Bill Cook, Dennis, everybody. It really can't happen without those guys. So we did an excellent job that whole night, and I want to make sure that they are acknowledged and we give them their flowers. And about 9 p.m., people went to go watch USA play Paraguay, I think it was, or something. So it was just a really great night just in general. So obviously looking to get a recap from all people involved, all staff and everything in the coming weeks, looking to replicate, but eyes kind of shifting from now to 4th of July, just so you're aware. But any questions on Beers at the Bridge? Okay. Farmers market. So Sarah will give a farmers market update, but June 2nd was our first farmers market of the year. Had multiple comments about the amount of people that were out there in the morning there. Multiple unsolicited comments from vendors that were there that said that was kind of the most that they had seen in an opening day. But we usually ask as many people as possible, and also check off of Placer AI too. But we had a little bit of a delay with some of the banners and things like that Sarah is handling, but she will give an update on that. She is assisted by Olivia Berg, her farmers market intern for social media and things like that. So she'll be covering down and helping Sarah out to kind of get on top of additional posts and the roll calls and all the other stuff. So the layout is different, but I'll let Sarah elaborate a little bit on that too. Memorial Day. For those of you that joined us on Memorial Day, thank you. That was our first kind of opportunity or really the first part of the Connecting Community campaign that was finished and able for people to see. It was an honor for me to be involved. I think people were really touched by the ceremony, which was fantastic, multiple different speakers. It was a little hot. We only had one person go down a little bit, actually selfishly, right after the ceremony, and he's fine. It is Dennis Brink's brother. He's okay. But other than that, it went really well. The speakers were amazing. And Brad Anderson, who is with AP history teacher for Forest Hills Central or Northern, Central Rangers.
Yes.
Yes. And so he helped construct the center plaque, was able to read that out. It was really, really touching. And people have been enjoying it ever since. It's just an amazing spot to stop on the way when you're circulating around downtown right now. So, yeah, it had over, I think it was probably closer to 200 people gathered around there. We bought or we rented about 100 chairs, 80 to 100 chairs, and they were taken up. So we'll adjust for future years. But it was great. We had commemorative coins, which all got scooped up real quick. I designed them through DoD Coins. If you guys haven't seen them yet, but we are ordering more, so that it is kind of the township's 250th memento. So it was kind of originally for the people that did join us at the ceremony, but we'll have that for kind of moving forward, which a lot of people were very touched by. If you guys haven't seen yet, our 250th streetlight banners are out. We do have some additional ones going in down Headley. Bill Cook, again, Bill and Ben, one of our seasonals, they are working hard on that, kind of iteratively getting them out there. We're switching the equipment from the wrought iron arms with the cast iron balls at the end to a hose clamp with a PVC arm, which is much easier to switch out, which is why we're doing it, so that we can do seasonal ones in the future. So they're in the process of switching those out, but they're spacing them out. Headley's going to get hit next, I think, for going down to M21 past the library. But I've also asked Sarah to give me like a copy for farmers market streetlight banners. So the streetlights closest to where the farmers market is would actually be farmers market ones, so that people can kind of have that visual cue as well. But they're looking great. And we just got an endorsement from admin to blow this up to have our local designer, which is Ben from Ivor Design, which you guys approved, to create a 8x31 to hang on the covered bridge. So the side of the covered bridge facing the pedestrian bridge and the street bridge. So we are moving forward with sourcing that. It should be 3 to 4 days on print, and then $500 to hang it on the side. We're trying to figure out the spacing in terms of the visible, a good read of it. But we did get endorsement from the Historical Society, from the admin committee, from several people. We were nervous about dressing it up like that, but a lot of people were pretty keen on it, especially for 250th. The curb alteration there is complete. There's some slight adjustments that need to be made for the ADA bumps. Some leveling. There was a kind of a mistake on the way they laid it out previously, but I've coordinated with Providence Concrete. But that is the ADA or the curb cut that was requested of us there at the covered or at the rail bridge, so that it's a wider opening for people, so they don't have to kind of jaunt into the street a little bit to get around it. And then with the parking plan, I kind of discussed with you guys the 3 of the things that I was trying to get done with that, which included monitoring, public education, and shared parking agreement negotiations. And right now, the Regis has assembled, we've worked together to assemble a monitoring platform for us. Fishbeck obviously doesn't give us the monitoring platform. They just said this is what we did. And as a private contractor, and they handed off to Regis, and then Regis created a platform for us on tablet that we can go to those parking banks and log occupancy. So Sophie, whether she knows it now or not, will be out there going out and taking occupancy counts for our parking throughout this summer, and then I'll be on top of it through the rest of the quarters throughout the year, so we can see occupancy. They did a couple adjustments, but Regis was great to work with on that. So we can take occupancy, we can take a picture of any unique parking styles that we might see. I'm sure event timeframes, there's more unique parking styles out there. Including my sister on Friday. She told me, I got a picture of Julius, I'll send it to you. Yeah, so that's one of the things I've gotten done on that. Pedestrian safety implementation. So our newest township employees, the Slender Benders, are on their way right now. The ordinance does go into effect on the 18th, according to legislation. Julius and I have been working with the road commission on specific go-ahead on putting them out. There are some things they wanted to iron out. They endorsed the locations, they endorsed the type of equipment, but little gun shy on some of the specific language, because they are going to have to replicate this with multiple townships once it goes. So we're still working with TJ on that. And we're also working on our public education campaign. So we've got some materials ready to go and ready to push. Cassandra Alonso, who is our neighborhood reporter, has covered the approval for the locations, and I would be getting with her again to get more information out there, to make sure that we're handling the public education piece and coordinating with multiple stakeholders, ABA, some of the road commission, schools, different things, just to get that message out there, because that's one of the things road commission is concerned about as well. But we should obviously in good practice too. So I'll keep people updated with that. But trying to think if there's anything I missed. Oh, as a point of discussion, Shelley, thank you for getting me the materials from the Ada Arts Council. They are crafting right now, kind of in a rough draft. She mentioned it at our last meeting, but kind of like a placemaking guide for public art. This was, if you guys remember, something, it's in our goals, but it's something that we obviously don't have the capacity to really spearhead, and we also don't have the credentials to spearhead certain public art installations and things like that. So they've identified 24 different locations with pictures of potential art installations, whether the type of medium is obviously up to the entity that would like to partner and would like to do things. But they gave that to me. It wasn't a great copy in terms of the imagery and everything, so I asked Chip Clark for that. But it does align with one of our goals, and I want to make sure that if it is open to us, that if we wanted to kind of focus on something or give Shelley guidance to speak to the Arts Council intentionally on 1 to 2 projects or something like that, that we have that. But I didn't get a good copy of the locations, the map, and things like that. So I will make sure you guys get that. So we are continuing to discuss that. But so you're aware, Shelley also provided me with one of the artists that's frequently around here that looked at the Arts Council's placemaking packet and looked at the tunnel and said that would be one that, if he's looking at stuff, that's a great option, which is ironic because we did talk about the tunnel in our capital improvement plan as something that we had planned to do a couple of years ago and that we likely would want to do again. So I think it's good to see that an artist is even saying like, yeah, that's a great medium, or that's the one. I don't know if he chose it specifically or the context around it, but she did provide me with a kind of a rendering that he did of something that he would do. But I think that just kind of certifies or validates the fact that we're looking at it as a good option for us. But the placemaking plan or placemaking guide is something that, depending on how we want to treat that or how we would like to instigate collaboration with the Arts Council and things like that, that's something I'll get to you guys as soon as Chip gets me a good copy of that. So, and lastly, Julius, do you have those renderings for me? Jeremy, I think you could probably speak to this more accurately based off the building, but I wanted to make sure you guys were aware of township board action that really is impactful on DDA and has a lot of crossovers. So I'll speak briefly, and then if you don't mind, Jeremy, maybe I don't want to catch you off guard. Sorry,
I have to go up front? Or?
No, you can speak from there. But do you mind if I?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's very public. So.
Okay, so this is, you guys can see in the foreground there is the library. This is, I can't remember the exact address of the parcel, but this is that triangular parcel that you guys
It'll have a new address. It's very confusing now. It's 527 Ada Drive.
But it doesn't have an access off.
Yeah, so it's not on Ada Drive anymore, and so we're switching it to, I think, 7253 Headley or something, so it'll have a Headley Street address.
So just a little background for you guys of why I'm bringing it up to you. Just another great development following a trend down here of the parcels in the downtown being visioned for opportunities that follow the theme of our downtown, of our mixed use, walkable environment, amenity rich kind of areas. And but this development went through Planning Commission, and they did put a contingency on them that they would receive a easement from the township board for access through the library parking lot to an entrance to the side of the building for interior parking. inside of this building. And through that process, the township board did come up with an easement that was agreed to. And part of that does include a public parking lot that is to the rear or northeast, because we're oriented funny, maybe due north actually, by the pump station that you guys see there. And so there were some terms put on that, but that is part of the easement, and I'll just kind of open it up because that is a significant parking increase, but also more importantly, a really a great building design for the area, if I did say so personally. But I'll just kind of open it up to both Jeremy and to Julius to give a little more context. I just wanted to give that to you guys. So.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Probably the first thing that's helpful, and it's a little bit confusing on here, if you're looking at this visual, the left side of the building, there where it's the lighter brick, that's all on the first floor. That's all parking. So that's interior parking. There's 17 spots in there, and so on the site plan here, this was kind of, I think, an older version. It doesn't show the access, so there's a drive coming off of the library parking lot that accesses that on kind of the northwest side there that goes into the building for interior parking. And so a little background on the project, certainly we're excited. It's improved through Planning Commission, and it was a great kind of public-private partnership in a lot of ways. I mean, we have our thoughts, and then the Planning Commission has their thoughts and others, and so we worked through some of that, but I think the end product is going to be really good. We have a tenant that is still under NDA. That would be the first 2 floors of that building, and then the third floor is 1 to 3 condos. It's intended to be 3 condos, but it certainly could be 1 or 2 depending on someone's preference there. And so residential on the 3rd floor, and then 1 office user on the 1st and 2nd floor. But like I mentioned, half of that 1st floor, kind of on the library side, the northwest side there, is all interior parking. And part of that process, obviously, parking is a hot topic around here. And we had the required number of spots between some added spots that are on the library side. So we're adding a number of parking spots to the library there, and then the parking spots in the building. In the building itself, it was a couple parking spots short of the required parking. When you add the township added spots, we were in excess of the required, but they weren't technically our spots. We were adding public spots. And so through negotiation or partnership or whatever you want to call it, we donated $300,000 to help contribute towards a parking structure that's now shown. And it currently says 25 stalls, but it's not. Or, sorry, I said structure. I'm structure mode. Parking lot there, and that's where the lift station is. That's township. And if I'm saying, I'm looking at Julius, so if I'm saying anything incorrectly, Julius can correct me on the terminology of anything. But and that would be that's the township. We're not constructing that. The township would construct that, and whether it's 25 stalls. Or
yeah, it was a concept.
But
and
adding additional parking that is all public use. So.
Yeah, the Township Board was approached with the request following Planning Commission review, and we can send out the updated packet because there was some updated renderings and pieces of the story together a little bit quicker or a little bit easier. But when the board reviewed it, I mean, they were happy to have the 6 spaces added to the public side. When staff met with the developer, we really didn't want another curb cut on Headley. We wanted to avoid that, and so our initial conversation was always focused on using the library access. It does a couple things. Right now, when the farmers market's going on, Scott at KDL puts out cones to block people from parking in the drive access because there's nowhere else to park, and they want to be as close as possible. And so this will actually create 6 spaces in that location, so that'll alleviate a little bit of that concern. There was a dumpster enclosure that they were proposing to put on township property. We're actually working to do a shared dumpster with the library because the library pickups only once a week. And so we didn't want to have another dumpster in the public domain, something that was visible. And as we were going through this conversation, ironically, I think one of the first meetings we had, Jeremy and his team had shared kind of the rendering or concept of this parking lot that was north of the lift station, and we said, well, that's a really cool idea. Are you guys going to build it? And they're like, well, no, we don't want to build it. We just think it's a good idea as we move forward for the township to consider it at some point. And so as we work through the access easement negotiations, that's something that the board found a lot of value in. And we're actually going to look at how we can try to potentially connect that to the EHTC parking lot. There's some additional conversation to take place so that we can hopefully keep a lot of that parking around the outside, a piece of property that quite frankly wouldn't be used for anything else. And so adding 25 spaces, and maybe it's 20, maybe it's 25, would be critical in this area. I know the library was very excited about it. I know multiple property owners in this area would benefit from just more parking at the rear, and then maybe open up some more of that street parking. So happy to answer any questions if anyone has them. Yeah, so coming off the library parking lot, you're going to see a little bit of a turn down, and it's about a 10% slope. I mean, it's a pretty steep turn, and so we're going to have a walkway, path, steps, something like that as well. And again, all that has to be engineered. We have preliminary engineering, some really rough cost estimates, and we still have to work with Eagle, but we're confident that we'll be able to get something built that will meet the needs of not only the library, of the new development, of EHTC, of other buildings, anyone in the area who wants to park and maybe get closer access behind the buildings as opposed to parking in the front. So
The other thing that we spoke about too is, as the engineering progresses, the possibility of actually connecting the stub lot that's to the left of the EHTC building to this new lot. Because you can see there, it looks like there's potentially a logical connection point, which would just help overall vehicular flow. That's the hope, but we won't know until they really try to get in.
yeah, we're currently working with the developer, going back and forth, but we approved the resolution to authorize us to work through the parking and access easement agreement. And the only other component that we had was the original rendering. The side of the building that faced the library has been updated, and so I don't know if, I think that's the, okay. So we'll send the packet out with that information, but I was talking to Kevin, the other day, and I said, we had our meeting last week, and I said, well, we should probably tell the DDA that we're adding a parking lot, because this will be really well received. And so it's not often we get to provide news like that. And so we're just fortunate to have developers and be able to work on public-private partnerships that benefit, not only the developer, but also the community.
So will we need to partner and support that financially?
So this will be a publicly owned lot and maintained lot. So as we move forward with, once construction is complete, then any maintenance would be on the township, and we haven't necessarily gone down what that cost would be, what that breakdown would be, how that would be handled. But the DDA we would not be looking to the DDA to incur any of the costs on the construction side. That would be something that right now would be covered by that developer fee. There is an outstanding, this is on estimates. A lot of these are estimates. And so, I think realistically, whether it was the DDA or whether the township, I think there was a lot of support to just get that done. And I think it was $10,000, something like that. So,
What's the potential dig date?
I was just gonna say, Tom and I were talking briefly before the meeting. Targeted date would be finishing end of 27, so would be moving end of 27, which would put break ground this fall, which aligns closely with the township hall, which then Tom and I were briefly discussing before the meeting about farmers market and logistics and construction there. And so, in advance, appreciate any grace with that process between constructing the township hall and constructing this building. And you can see it's a tight parcel, and trying to, we've had numerous meetings about phasing and being very considerate about, obviously, events that happen during the summer and in the library and having access to that and safety as well. And so I know those will come up as construction continues planning, but that's the current plan would be breaking ground this fall.
It's gonna be very loud in our office for a year.
Yeah.
Beep, beep.
Julius, one thing to think about based on what he's just said, leaders thinking about it, the faster we move on the parking lot area, the better, because even if it's not paved, but it's prepared, it could be the staging for their building. An awful lot of stuff could be done from that side. That would help keep the chaos down on the Headley side and the library to a little bit of a minimum, something to think about.
Could you even access that from Fulton Street during construction?
So we have to talk to MDOT, but realistically on the rendering, it shows like a gate. And so the idea would be that gate would be closed, so it wouldn't be an access to the public. That access is for tanker trucks when we've got sewer issues. But I don't believe, we wouldn't want to have another access off Fulton. There's no deceleration, anything like that. But could be something, if construction materials had to come in, that it could be potentially used.
Has any of this movement encouraged Devon to want to raise that corner?
I don't know.
And is this Fifth Third staying? I heard they're closing a lot of them and.
So yeah, I mean, we've heard Fifth Thirds are, they're closing quite a few of them. I haven't heard anything about that one specifically. The Chase has just applied to reskin their building, which is not great news. I mean, we want to support local businesses, but we also.
It's better.
Yes.
With that in mind, that steps up a stern letter that we've been talking about. What I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
I think we should try to step that up.
Yeah, I think there's other avenues that could be explored as we've talked about, how do we continue to improve the downtown and businesses that don't necessarily share that vision. And I know there's been individuals who've had conversations with corporate, leaders from respective banks. Some are supportive of the activities and would potentially move into a new building, and others don't. They don't necessarily care what's going on in Ada. They only care what's going on at their corporate office. So.
Yeah, there's a disconnect between the really large corporate entities and our little town, basically, just because they've got 10,000 units around the country that they're worrying about. So.
Yeah, one of the banks basically said, well, we'll move, but you need to give us another drive-through location on Fulton. And, that's not going to happen because the township doesn't want to see more drive-throughs. And eliminating one and adding another one in a more visible location doesn't seem to be a solution in our mind. So. Okay, any other questions on the parking?
All right, thank you, Julius. Yeah, a couple things just from my perspective, aligning with really what our purpose is, but also the downtown at large. The more parking we can put next to Fulton, I will endorse, but, yes, sir, sorry.
Just real quick, we don't know the tenant. How do we know what's parking? It's different for different users. How do we know how to rate what the new demand or?
Yeah. Yep, Planning Commission, the Planning Commission puts it through site plan approval, and they apply the proposed use, I believe, to a calculation that they have for parking. They're also reviewing some of that right now with the zoning ordinance rewrite, but during site plan approval, they reviewed that for what is required under the ordinance, also required under the 60% reduction that the plan, that the PVM district allows, and then that gets sent to the developer to make sure that they include that. And so they met that, and then this also, the additional parking was part of the deliberation with the easement. So the 25 stalls isn't related to, or the 25 stalls there isn't related to the building specifically, as it is related to the activity happening with the building, around the building, and downtown in general, and the easement that was granted to go off of township land, which is the park or the library. Yeah,
Just taking a moment to just add a little context there. Also, because when when you go in front of the planning commission and you're in that spot, so like where Ken was at, and you can share, and then you're like, all right, you're done. You don't get to talk, but when you're here, you get to just add context when you want to. So give me grace there. But so the project really, between the parking that was in interior of the building and the added spots, we don't technically own those spots because they're public. We were in excess of the required for the uses of the building. So we met all of that. I would say in practical terms, we were in excess of what was required through negotiation and all the sorts of things that go on with getting access. And to Julius, I appreciate you mentioning, we could have went for a curb cut on Headley there and not needed more parking, or not. I mean, it would have been just a clean shot right in there, but that wasn't a good use from a broad standpoint, and so we had good discussion on that, and we prefer that as well, not having that there. And so the 25 additional parking spots are our contribution of sorts, or to that is all additional parking above and beyond what would be anticipated needed for this building within the PVM district. And so I think I want to give a little bit of credit to our willingness to contribute towards that, because we could have held a pretty firm stance there, and that wouldn't have been good for anybody, because the township could have held a firm stance, we could have held a firm stance, and we wouldn't have had another beautiful building in the area. So we're happy to help support that, but I want to clarify that is additional. That's another 25 spots in addition to what this building is anticipated that would need per the ordinance.
Yeah, and you basically touched on one of my top 3 points of why this aligns and why I'm an advocate for it. Is first off is putting parking next to Fulton, which is a highway. And second is a continuous street experience for the pedestrian without a curb cut where cars are coming out. That was something that both the developer and the township highlighted and valued, so that people walking down Headley wouldn't have to worry about cars coming out. And third is that there's residential on top. I know it went through a revision, and the residential was proposed at during the first proposal for the building, and it stayed in the second. And so I'm happy to see that's the case, because that really defines mixed uses, environments, and things like that. So, any questions, guys?
It's exciting. Congratulations.
Okay, all right. I will give Sarah the opportunity to share on the farmers market.
Yeah, so as Kevin said, one of the main changes besides time change this year was layout. We really noticed last season that during lunch, especially the later hours, patrons would come and go straight to food truck and scoot out without looking at other vendors. So we split not only ready to eat vendors to each end of the market, but also seating areas to, no matter what end they come through, hopefully there is a pull to the opposite end, which vendors had some good feedback about that, and dedicated spots for daily vendors, no matter if we add and have some a little bit of a carousel in there. All of our seasonal vendors have the same spot for the entire season, which consistency is huge for them. In regards to marketing, Olivia, the farmers market intern, has really been helping out. She's been working on a lot of great posts and collaborating with Lowell's market manager to promote our SNAP and EBT, because they don't have that capability. We also doubled yard signs, and I've talked to quite a few businesses around the area, not just in Ada, to get some more eyes and pull from those communities that are super close but don't have a market. And then we're also going to be adding some posters, well, I guess bringing back some posters for DDA businesses, because I wasn't aware that that was something we did in the past, which is easy and just add some more eyes. Opening day was almost 2 weeks ago now. It was pretty awesome weather, and it seemed like one of the best turnouts I've seen in a long time, from being a vendor for almost 5 years before. With 33 seasonal vendors, we're pretty at capacity, and it looked full all the way around. Last week, not so much because of the weather, of course, but it was a pretty good day. So, any questions? Oh yeah, kids programming. We have not a full schedule, but a pretty full schedule of new things. I have different sports teams for all 3 schools, Northern, Central, and Eastern. A couple volunteers from different sports, baseball, volleyball, soccer, coming in to do some sports activities. Next week we're going to be starting with bracelet making crafts, and we've also got a face painter who does balloon animals, magic tricks, and actually a fire show. So she's going to be doing some different things, different weeks, but yeah. Julia said it was fun. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Item number 7D, Township Department Head Staff Reports.
Just a couple items if I could, please. June 19th and 20th, this Friday and Saturday, the Thornapple River Bridge will be closed. So June 19th at 6 p.m. on Friday evening, they will close the bridge. They will bring 4 semis down with the bridge, I believe, is in 3 or 4 pieces, and they will assemble it on site on the bridge, the pedestrian bridge, and then put that in place, weather permitting. The bridge will be reopened at 6 p.m. on Saturday. Yes, the street bridge. And then the pedestrian bridge, shortly after being installed, will take about 2 weeks with additional concrete abutment work, some other things. So we're hopeful that it will be open for July 4th, but we also want to make sure it's done right, and we're just kind of at the mercy of weather at this point. If we had weather like we had this weekend, we wouldn't necessarily be putting any bridge in place, they can place it short of high winds and lightning, essentially. So we really want to make sure that we have some good weather, hopefully, and we can get that in place. It was supposed to be installed a couple weeks ago, but we declined June 6th and 7th because that was the Grand Rapids Triathlon. And then we declined this past weekend because it was Beers of the Bridge, and that would not have been a good idea. So, Covered Bridge Park, we're shooting for a opening of August 1st through 12th. We're working with donors right now too on scheduling a potential ribbon cutting. The ribbon cutting might come after the actual opening, just due to scheduling. And then if anyone in the DDA wants a tour of the actual Covered Bridge Park, kind of behind the scenes, behind the fence, we're just kind of opening that up. As people drive by, they're seeing more and more go on, but it's pretty cool to be able to walk the site and see it and kind of tell the story. And so if you're interested, let me know or let Director Austin know, and we'll be happy to set something up. So.
Between that, like a hard hat type?
Yep.
Yeah. So,
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, it's an active construction site, but we do want to, give, especially, the DDA is a large contributor to the project, and just an opportunity to answer questions, share the progress, so that as you guys talk to residents and other business owners, you're able to share that conversation with them.
Yeah, I'd certainly love to do that, especially
Yeah, me too.
being the resident DDA
Yeah.
member. I have a lot of people asking about it, so it would be really nice to
Yeah.
be able to tell them all what it's happening and when and all
Sounds
that
good,
stuff.
yeah. We can set up a time, and I'll work with Kevin, and we can reach out, and if we can get a couple people together, great. If not, we can do one-offs. It's close, we can walk, so.
I know that Wesley has earmarked the normal LRP
Yeah,
time as a scheduled time.
I could send that one out too.
People can join it that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, our regular Parks, Recreation, Land Preservation Advisory Board meeting, which is the third Thursday of the month, 8:30. This month's will be, there's not necessarily a meeting taking place. Instead, we're going to do a tour. And so we can send that one out as a date. So if you guys are able to jump on that one, that will be a cool one because we will have Wesley be part of that. And then I believe Progressive will be part of that as well. So, yeah, this Thursday.
Is that park in the social district?
It is.
Okay.
It ends, the expansion of the social district 2 years ago, put it basically right at the train bridge, right there past the park.
And then just to touch on, Beers the Bridge was an awesome event. Weather was perfect. I do want to pat myself on the back. So we had about $22,000 in sales. And I manned my own station the entire night and sold $7,900 of beer tickets, which it was probably about 2 hours straight of nonstop. I mean, it was, when Kevin talked about the increased revenue, increased sales, I think Gina equated about 4,400 tickets were sold for beer or wine. And I've attended, a number of these. This was probably the busiest from a ticket sale perspective. And so it's just exciting to see the community continue to support the event. Us have great weather, and maybe we're getting more traction now that there's only 2 events instead of 3. But we had a great band, staff did a great job, and thank you to everyone else who volunteered as well. Any questions on my report or anything else going on in the township?
The only thing I'll say is that Kevin and his whole volunteer group, but his coordination was over the top. Just outstanding.
Yep.
And I think that's one of the reasons the thing is successful is people go there and it goes really, really smoothly.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of.
There's a good plan in place.
The pre-meeting is impressive. I mean, it's literally a line by line of when, everything.
Everyone knows what they're doing, when they're doing it, and what's the expectation. So,
Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah.
And Julius.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Julius, and then thanks, Kevin.
This was the first year we had wine provided by the Lark, so I'll be interested in getting the results by that. I checked in with them a couple times. They were having a great time selling what they were providing. It did not look like the $10 point was a big detractor, which some of our marketing data supported that before we made that call. So I'll be interested in that. Second thing, I apologize, I neglected to add some additional pictures from Memorial Day. Julius has it in his report, Wesley does too, if you guys are interested in that. But if you were on the Township Facebook page, Wesley put together a nice video that kind of has some music to it and stuff, kind of recapping all of the people that were involved in Memorial Day, and our contracted photographer, Eric Holliday from Holiday Photography, that you guys approved. He took some great videos and drone shots and things like that. And so Wesley put that together if you guys want to see that video. Pretty emotional, good stuff. So good pictures from Memorial Day and some of the other reports. I'll get some of those in the future reports too. So.
Since you said video, didn't we approve some marketing, like a marketing thing with the Parks Department? What's the status
Yes.
of that?
Yep. So every event that we've had Eric Holliday out for, he's been taking B-roll for that video. The contract requires that he gets it done by the end of this year. And thank you for saying that, because we are still trying to coordinate interviews with key community stakeholders and things like that to supplement the video. So obviously there's been a lot of things happening that are worth getting on that video over the past year with Covered Bridge Park and new programs the park's putting on. But every event that he goes to, he's taking video as well as photo, and then he's got his drone up taking some great shots, and then he's got an inventory of B-roll that he's looking to assemble, but adding interviews inside of that is part of the project as well. So it's in the process.
Good, okay.
Yeah.
Item number 8, board member comment.
Just a quick thing, Kevin, I don't know if this is, just remembering from last year, I don't know if this is an issue, but during 4th of July, there was a gentleman who was walking through the crowd selling the glow-in-the-dark toys. He did the whole area, and then Kona Ice had parked their truck right in front of Fruition and started selling. Is that an issue or no? I mean, they'll probably do it again this.
Yeah. In terms of what is being done inside the park, was that near, I'm assuming near the fireworks later on? You said
It
like
was during the concert.
Okay.
And then he walked around all the rest of the crowd.
Mm-hmm. So the actual, if he's selling items inside the park, I'd have to check with Wesley on that. That's not something that we coordinated or gave permission to do. Parks regulations, obviously, we'd have the ability as event organizers to limit if we decided to specifically target that and limit that if we are aware of it. But the parks policy, I think, would probably be overarching or be regulating that if he does have one on that. So I would check. I'm going to check with Wesley on that. And then for Kona Ice, we didn't specifically give them mobile vending approval. Our township actually doesn't have a mobile vending ordinance or mobile food vending ordinance, so they don't have to get approval to park in parallel spots or things like that. If we invited them into event spaces, so into the actual if it was a River Street that was segregated off, that would be something we would coordinate. But we are not specifically prohibiting them, or we don't really have the ability to prohibit them from kind of setting up in public parking spots and conducting
So like
that.
any food truck can set up on Ada Drive? And
Currently, right now, yes. Because we do not have any, as far as I know, I can check with zoning for zoning ordinance or also general provision ordinance. Check with Julius too. I don't believe we have any mobile food vending ordinance that requires them to get a permit from the township before they would set up in a place that didn't block traffic or didn't create other nuisances or things like that. But yeah.
Item number 9, is there any public comment? Moving on to our final item, item 10, a motion to adjourn at 9:16 a.m.
Move to adjourn.
A motion to adjourn at 9:16 a.m. was made by Harrison, supported by Vogel. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Passed. Thank you, everyone.